Hello, I'm Scott Soshnick.
And I'm Eben Novi-Williams, and this is the Tomahawk Chopped Sports Business Podcast,
Nice.
the Sporticast.
Nice. There's no way you would know this, Eben, but every once in a while, like every 10 months or so, my best buds from college and I get together, and it happens to be tonight. And it's going to be at a steakhouse. So I'm going to get myself a tomahawk chop just because you said it. That sounded when you said it, I thought steak. I was not thinking Florida
response.
Yeah, exactly. So if I drool a tad, it's a good thing I have the spit protector here because it's just like I am really looking forward to dinner tonight. I don't know what. No, I think I'll get a tomahawk. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you guys rage? What's the vibe of your when you guys get together? A lot of alcohol, not a lot of alcohol. I know you're not drinking alcohol.
I'm not a drinker. They'll have a good amount of alcohol.
Okay.
I also don't look to engage in the. I hate the stories that start with "Remember the time."
Yeah.
Not
it's just reminiscing crew.
Yeah. So long. But no, it'll be a good catch up. I have a friend that works at professional sports league. One's in commercial real estate. The other is like semi-retired. We hate him. And another buddy who's in like marketing or whatever. So I like to catch up on what everybody's doing. Let them know. They all ask about how Sportico is doing. And they're all subscribers. Thanks, fellas.
Hey, there you go.
By the way, should we tell everybody about the idea? I guess at the end of the year, a lot of people get notices about how much they've listened to which podcasts. And, right?
Spotify Wrapped. It's a Spotify thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's just, okay. So you had an idea, because you're a nice person, about how we should capitalize on some of our best listeners. Go ahead, tell people this way they can promote it to us.
A number of people reached out to you and I and some folks on Twitter showing the Sporticast in their Spotify Wrapped.
By the way, they reached out to you and me. That's a pet peeve. You and me.
Gosh.
You and me. I know they don't teach that stuff at Princeton.
Grammar police over
they don't,
here.
They don't teach that on the lightweight football team at Princeton, but they ran over you and me. They scored a lot of points on you and me. I did not score a touchdown.
A lot of folks reach out to you and me
to us
to show that Sporticast was in their top 10 most listened to podcasts, which we obviously very much appreciate. And I think we should maybe try to do something for at least one or two of those people at some point as well. So more to come, I think, on that idea, Scott. But I think you and I both had similar thoughts. Seeing
Christmas
that
gift
there
to
were
unwrap.
people out there with that are very avid listeners of the show, which we obviously love.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now on to your pretty good enthusiasm, right on topic, Tomahawk Chopped. I see what you did there. They're not going to be happy with you. Who do you think of when you say Florida State football? I mean, there's one.
We're never going to talk about it.
No. We are. We'll talk about it. I'm just curious. Who do you think of when you say Florida State football? Who pops into your brain?
As crazy as it is, it's Peter Warwick to me.
Peter Warwick, okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think of that team. I think they won a national championship. It was the first BCS, I believe. I don't know. Whatever it is, Peter Warwick.
Okay.
For me. How about you?
Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prime.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I bet you Jameis Winston is high up there as well.
Jameis Winston, yeah, I would think he's high. Anyway, I don't know why I thought of that. I was just wondering who pops in. I like that generational thing for who is top of mind. But if you're looking for them in the college football playoff, you're looking in the wrong spot. But they have their own really good game.
Yeah.
But I guess the big debate centered on, and we'll do it from the sports business perspective, the big debate centered on whether they should have been included in the top four. And as you know, just as we talked about this, and I said, in the overarching thing, I am taking the Justice Potter approach. I don't know what's right or wrong. I don't know which team is good, but I know it when I see it. And Florida State, when I saw it, wasn't it? So I think the committee got it right, and there are significant business reasons why you want the four brands that you have playing in the finals.
We previewed this very well last week, saying that there was a chance you could get absolute chaos for this selection committee on Sunday, and we got exactly that. Alabama beat Georgia, and Florida State beat Louisville, and Washington beat Oregon, creating this essential logjam at the back end of the semifinals about who gets in and who doesn't. And as I think anyone who even remotely follows college football right now knows, one loss Alabama, the SEC champion, got in ahead of 0 loss Florida State, the ACC champion. And there are a lot of people who are very upset about this. There are a lot of people who are very thrilled about this. Nothing college sports likes more than a righteous controversy on their hands. But Scott, this feels so predictable to me, not just in the result, but when you have a system here where a room of a dozen people are making a subjective decision, something as subjective as who are the 4 best college football teams in the country. Of course, there's going to be fan bases that are angry. This is just a particularly bad one because of the way this played out. There's never been a Power 5 conference champion who went undefeated and did not make the college football playoff. So that's the anger I think that a lot of Florida State fans have. So in some ways, the process was always broken. You can't put 12 people in a room to decide something this subjective and not anger people. But I think the bigger thing, and I'm sure this is the way that you feel also, maybe Florida State never had a shot at this, right? The way that the power nexus of college sports is changing, the SEC and the Big Ten are the dominant forces, going to be even more dominant moving forward.
Give me some more letters that matter too, that people are pointing to in a conspiracy theory way. You have SEC,
is
Big
in
Ten,
there,
and
ESPN.
ESPN. Yes, the conspiracy theorist will point at ESPN saying this is what they wanted.
And I don't buy the ESPN is a partner in the SEC network. So there's people a little tinfoil hatty. I think,
by the way, ACC network also.
And ACC network, yeah. But the SEC network is the bigger bell cow at this point.
Yeah.
But again, I just think this goes back to this is what college football is. It's funny, Greg Sankey, who's the commissioner of the SEC, before the selection committee, after Alabama beat Georgia, was asked about the prospect of, for the first time ever, no SEC team being in the playoff, and he said, and I'm quoting here, Scott, "That's not the real world of college football," and that's right. Right, the idea of a college football championship at this point.
You could not have this thing without the champion of the SEC.
Without the SEC and without the Big Ten also. Michigan went undefeated, so it wasn't dramatic. But you could easily see a world reversed where one loss Michigan won the Big Ten and got in ahead of the SEC, of the ACC.
Well, depending on who they
champion.
lose to. Depending on who you lose to.
Perhaps, but again, I think the take Greg Sankey on the merits of what he said there. That you cannot have a 4-team semifinal without the SEC in it. That's just not what college football is. And he's right. College football is concentrating more and more. The money in TV has fundamentally changed the way that conferences work, the way that the power structure works. It's the reason why the SEC is adding Oklahoma and Texas. It's the reason why the Big Ten is adding Washington and Oregon. It's the reason why the Pac-12 does not exist anymore. And I would say, Scott, it's the reason why Florida State is trying to get out of the ACC. They realized this long before it happened, that being in the ACC is no longer being part of a very exclusive 5-conference club.
You mean beating Syracuse is no big, beating Louisville and Syracuse is no big deal?
It is being on the outside of a very exclusive 2-conference club.
Yeah.
So it's been obvious for anyone who's paying attention, but if you are not in the Big Ten or in the ACC, you are at risk of falling behind. It's what Florida State boosters have been saying all year. It's what a lot of people in a lot of cities in the country are now facing, this new reality. And I think the fallout of what led to this is obviously the same fallout that we're seeing rupture across college sports in the past year or two, and is going to continue to rupture over the next 4 or 5 years.
All right, you said paying attention. You saw me looking down. I've been scribbling. Again, that was when you were talking, but you sparked something. By the way, nice new background, right? The glass. I just changed 45 degrees. I had 2 things. Yeah, exactly. If we had our budget and our sort of our access to some of this stuff, I would play the old Mike Leach quote. Did you see the Mike Leach from years ago when they asked him about the college football playoff and the committee? He's like, "Oh, you know what we need? We absolutely need a committee." We need a committee.
Nothing college sports loves more.
Right. Who should be on the committee? Well, this is a nice guy. He's sort of tangentially involved in sports. Put him on the committee. So it's not like Mike Leach didn't see this coming years ago. That's number one. And by the way, we should note that all of this will be moot when you up this thing to 12 teams. So this will all be moved because nobody's going to complain about number 13 didn't quite, get in. All right, that's a different argument.
Clip that, Scott.
It'll happen.
Guarantee you.
Number 13. Number 13 will complain, but they will not have. They will not have the heft of argument that say a Florida State would this year. And then also, I mean, this is totally ridiculous, but went through my head is the Eminem song. Like, I would love to see somebody should mash this up with more skill than I have right now. When Eminem talking about the SEC, there'd be no playoff without me, and then have FSU right there. You could do a really fun video.
I didn't know which Eminem song you were going for, but that's not bad.
It actually like you could really do a great mashup of that right now using FSU or Alabama at the time or Georgia. It would feel so empty without me. Yeah, exactly. So I think someone needs to do that. Feel free, do not footnote, don't credit me, just do it because I'd like to see it. Hey, listen, Eben, we've talked about the business of, right? And I just chuckle how all these things can happen where you steamroll down, where athletes are not considered employees, where NIL comes in, where coaches are getting the salaries they're getting, and then you have this argument. The fact remains, that's fine. You want to go full-on business of? Fine, that's fine with me. But there's a reason, like you said, FSU is looking to get out of the ACC. There's been a reason for all of this realignment. There's a reason we have a Pac-2 right now. This is the system you created, right? Yep. Those who run these universities have created this system. Do not bitch and moan now when this is the byproduct of that system. I do not want to see a third-string quarterback from Florida State playing against Michigan. I want to see Alabama play Michigan. It's that simple. We've talked about the universities are brands unto themselves, greater than the players themselves. Alabama needs to be here, or Georgia, if they, whatever. If they had won, they'd be undefeated. That wouldn't even be up for debate. But the fact remains that FSU is working with J.P. Morgan Chase to figure out how to raise some private equity funds to pay the exit fee immediately so that maybe, where are they going, Big Ten? Where's FSU going?
Who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, they're not committed to making this equitable and saying, how do we build the ACC? They're saying, get me the hell out of here so that I am terra firma and that when I do go 15-0 the next time, I'm in this thing.
Yeah, the only I mean, one of the other scenarios I could see is what's left of the Big 12 and the elites of the ACC maybe trying to form a third wheel of the power spoke here.
Brett, you're forming it up. I love it.
College football is the most powerful reality television franchise in America, right? It's not Love is Blind. It's not the Kardashians. It's not.
What about that Grey Bachelor thing? I read about that. What about? Wait, hey, whoa! You may have gone a bridge too far in that Vanderpump Rules thing. When what's his name cheated on what's her name? That even made my household.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that called?
I'm embarrassed to say it, Tom. The Scandival.
Scandival. Yes, there you go. Scandival made its way into my household and my brain. This thing had to erupt for it to really. I don't follow the college football because, as I've told you, it's a brainwashed fan base where week 1, this is the most important game. Week 2, it's the most important game. Every week is the most important game. And fans buy into it. It ain't. Let me get to the end. If you lose in week 6, I don't care. Let it get to the end. Tell me who the Final Four are. I am without controversy. I do not care that FSU is out. Show me the Final Four. Now I know who is playing. We're cemented. That's all I need to know. Now I can watch 3 football games for my entire season of college football. Thank you very much.
Nothing put the bow on the reality TV idea quite like watching the selection show on Sunday. Yes. Hour-long show, literally just to say 4 names. And the drama that ESPN built, they had reporters on scene with all the teams, the top 6 teams, including Florida State and in Georgia, and then the going to commercial right before they started it. The whole thing just felt like, again, it was not scripted because in some ways it is, but this is reality TV show at its finest. And it's not a hard jump to get back to the money that you and I are talking about, that TV money is the driving force.
What was our operating revenue here? Right, should we read the operating revenues of these athletic departments?
Read off some numbers. These are, 3 of the biggest athletic departments in the country, and then Washington.
I like the way you posted it on Twitter because you had the little circles. Look at you. I don't know how you did that. Yeah, I don't know how you did that, but you did little dots. I didn't love the dots.
Cora Veltman, the digital media editor, does not like the dots.
I'm with Cora. I didn't love the dots, but it's okay.
I like the dots. And it's
all right, operating income, ready? Or operating revenue. Texas, tops, 100 of the 4. $162 million in the athletic department. Then we'll jump to Michigan, $131 million. Alabama, $130 million. Then little old Washington, UW, $91
That's football
million.
revenue.
That's football revenue, yeah.
And if you sort by just athletic budget, I believe Texas is the second biggest in the country behind Ohio State.
Ohio State, of course.
Alabama's third, and Michigan is fourth. So three of the four biggest public universities from an athletic standpoint in the country are in this game. And that's not a coincidence, Scott. Again, the way that money is concentrating at the top here, we're have a 12-team playoff next year, as you mentioned. In 5 years, so much of that 12-team playoff is going to be Big Ten and SEC schools, just because they have so much more money being spent, and by virtue of that, so much more money coming in, primarily from TV, but also from some other avenues. That it's just going to be harder and harder for anybody else to stay at that level for a sustained amount of time. I
love sort of like you said, the live look in when Michigan found out that they were playing Alabama and not Florida State. I get a funny feeling they kind of viewed a game against FSU as almost a bye week. Like, we are going to the national title game because they're not going to score any points against us. So that was one of the things people were pointing to, was the fact that they got it right, that there was a groan in Michigan when they realized they had to play Alabama. Like, oh, we got to play. Like, we got a real game.
And I
no offense, FSU, by the way, but it's your third string quarterback. Your third string quarterback.
Well,
look how that worked out for the Jets.
The second string could have been back for the bowl game, right? So theoretically,
then you got to time off.
It
ain't your star. It ain't your star quarterback. That's the problem.
Agreed. And I do want to, before we change topics, I do want to go back to the news that you and I broke a few months ago. Florida State working with J.P. Morgan, trying to figure out some way for external institutional money to come in. Sixth Street was the private equity fund that from what we understood and still understand was the furthest along on that. Obviously a very complicated deal. The private equity deals are all complicated in some ways, but trying to figure out a way to structure this within the confines of a public university is extremely challenging. Who knows? It might be impossible, or it might be impossible right now. We'll see if that gets done. But I think 100% the motivation to get that deal done just ratcheted up a significant amount in the past few days.
Well, I absolutely. Well, I think it was already there because they saw this coming. But,
agreed.
When the amount they're looking to raise equals the exit fee from the ACC, I'm sure it's just coincidence that the $150 million exit fee is just happens to be the number of dollars they're raising or looking to raise.
If there was anyone on Florida State's campus who was preaching we can stay in the ACC and still have all of the trappings of success that we want and think we deserve, I think that argument got a lot harder in the last few days. And I agree with you. I think if you look at the swift response that Florida State had, its president, its athletic director, even some politicians, I think there were a lot of people in Tallahassee and adjacent that saw the writing on the wall. That knew even on Saturday night after they won the ACC championship that there was a pretty good chance that they were going to be the aggrieved party.
Had you won 62-10, maybe you had a shot, right? What do you think? What if they won by 50 points?
Yeah, I think that makes it harder. I'm going back to what Greg Sankey said. A playoff
Alabama.
year without SEC is not the real
Feels so
world
empty
of
without me. Da-na-na-na-na. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, my favorite part of that song is when he does the Batman thing. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. That's the best favorite part of my song.
That part I don't know.
And you don't know that?
Off the top of my head, I don't. I know the song.
No. Oh, you hurt me. Eben, I'm going to give you an easy transition.
Okay.
You ready? So, college football, the playoff went off the rails.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Speaking of rails, Scott. Rails.
How did you know?
Little alley-oop there. The news that we broke at Sportico last week. Stephen Rails, the brother of Mitchell Rails, who is a significant LP in the Washington Commanders, has invested again in the Indiana Pacers. Stephen Rails, billionaire, buying 15% of the Pacers on top of the 5% that he already has. From what we understand, it includes some sort of a path to control ownership if the current owners, the Simon family, ever want to sell. The standout number here, Scott, to me, $3.47 billion is the valuation on the Pacers in this deal. Not an NBA record per se, but it's another huge number for a team on the bottom end of NBA valuations. That's what stood out to me is a minority stake sale that doesn't have control, maybe has a path to control at some point, still commanding huge numbers for the NBA.
Yeah, I've been hearing for a long time. Oh, next sale, keep an eye on the Pacers. Keep an eye on the Pacers. Nobody had said keep an eye on the Mavericks. That one came out of nowhere. But keep an eye on the Pacers. Keep on the Pacers has been out there for some time. And frankly, it's a crown jewel. It may not be the biggest market, all that, but Indiana basketball, that's a crown jewel. You're going to have a good fan base. They haven't won a lot lately. You've got a wonderful building. And
less
if you want to get
competition, right? No MLB team and no
MLB team.
No hockey team.
Yeah. If you want to get in, you got to get in. Like you got to take what's on the market. That's it. When's your next time to get in on a professional sports team? They're not making any more. Of course, the NBA may make another one for Seattle and
maybe
NBA.
make it two more. Yeah.
But we kind of think we know where those are gonna shake out. So if you want to get in, you got to jump in when you can. So I'm not surprised by the number. And what I don't want to see anymore, if I may, another pet peeve, is when an owner who bought a team a really long time ago sells, and I know we discussed this, so
exactly
you're chuckling. Yep. All over. It's like, whoa, he paid X for the franchise, just sold it for Y. Well, if I bought Amazon way back when, if I bought Apple way back when, yes, it's worth more now. I got it. If I bought it a long time ago, I didn't pay that much. Even if that much is hundreds of millions, I get it. It's worth
Simon
a lot
family
more
paid
now.
$11 million, Scott, in 1983. $11 million for the Pacers.
What's our next single digit?
Now.
What's our next single digit one? Who I have to look back. Who
bought
in single
a team
digits
for a single digit?
Yeah. Was there a $9.5 million purchase?
There's definitely one at some point.
Yeah. Who's the single digit purchase? But okay, let's say 11. That's good appreciation. I got it. Yep. They bought it a long time ago, and the asset has appreciated substantially, and they sold it for a whole lot of money, just like Mark Cuban did. I got it.
Oh, but by the way, I just looked. There is not a single digit. I believe
this may be the lowest. This is it.
This is the lowest that a current NBA owner has paid for his or her franchise. Okay. I see the Lakers at $20 million. What a deal there. The Buss family. I see Jerry Reinsdorf buying the Bulls at $16 million in '85, so a couple years after the Pacers were bought. Mm-hmm. But I don't see anything else even close to this number. So that's how much turnover. It's interesting, actually. That's how much turnover we've seen in the NBA, whereas there are NFL teams that were bought for like $25,000, $100, right? Way back in the 20s and 10s and 30s.
$25,000, $100? Is that an accounting principle?
No, I'm talking about two different numbers, 25,000 or 100. But yeah, this is we actually maybe should have put that in the story. But the Pacers are now the team that the current owner spent the least for in the NBA. That's a great stat.
That is a great little stat. So I think you're going to go to the Twitter. The X,
I probably am. Yeah,
the X.
I just scrolled down here past the New York Giants NFL.
Yeah. I was going to say the Maras and Tisches. Yeah,
$500 if I'm reading this correctly in 1925. The Maritish families. So yeah, what a setup there for some of the folks in the NFL. But I agree with you. The hand wringing over how expensive sports teams are relative to the early 1980s seems like it is wearing a little thin at this point.
It certainly is. And when another segue for you, when you do put this on the Twitter, on the X, please do not use the little dots that you did to the college football playoff. For if you do, I will have to throw a penalty flag.
Yeah. One other thing I just want to bring up here on the Rails thing. So Stephen Rails a few years ago bought 5% of the Pacers.
Yes.
Now he's buying 15% of the Pacers. I think the answer here is probably the path to control, but why? I don't. In some ways, I'm a little confused about what the difference between owning 5% of the Pacers and owning 20% of the Pacers actually is, except for the fact that his pocketbook is $500 million lighter now than it was before this deal. It just seems we talk a lot about minority stakes and why they get sold and what you get with them, but being a minority stakeholder, 5 or 20% of the Pacers feels actually fairly similar to me. But again, one of them just costs a lot more money.
Well, there is a significant difference at 5%, and I don't know if this is part of the deal or not, and we should maybe do a little homework. but I would say I don't know of a 5% stake that has ever come with any governance or board seat.
Yeah.
I do know of
And this
20%
one might, yeah.
stakes that have come with governance. And if I'm in a path to control, I'd like to have some governance, at least a say in governance of the franchise.
Totally,
I'm guessing that Steve Rails has some governance say.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Which ain't nothing.
Nope, not at all. All right, let's do
All
one
right,
last
well,
topic.
I set you up for the last topic before, but you screwed it up. So now you're just going to have to do this cold segue to, how about NFL officiating?
How about speaking of NFL officiating, Scott?
Speaking of officiating.
I don't know if you watched the end of the Sunday night game, football game.
Whoa. You know.
I know that you did not
You
watch.
know I did not watch the end of the Sunday night.
I did not either, but I think we both read about it afterwards. The referees made a few, multiple in the last drive of the game, questionable, I guess we could even say wrong calls. There was a personal foul on a hit against Patrick Mahomes that maybe should not have been a flag.
I'm going Jackie Childs. Egregious, outrageous, ridiculous. The most
Seinfeld.
public of my many humiliations.
Good Seinfeld reference there. There was
you.
a pass interference call that was missed. There was a forward progress that was missed. A lot of people up in arms about this. I feel like every couple
I'm
years,
hearing a lot about this.
There's a game or two that everybody kind of freaks out about. I don't know exactly what the answer is, or if there's even. I think the answer is no. Any like actual ramifications for the NFL outside of gambling companies refunding
this
money
is a
and things
league.
like that.
What's the revenue of the NFL these days? What are we?
Probably
20?
18
All right,
billion right now.
18
Maybe
billion
a
on
little
its way
more.
to 25
Yeah.
and plus.
Yeah.
And first downs are still decided by gentlemen wearing bibs,
Yeah.
stretching a chain link. Okay. Let's be honest here. They could have laser pointers. We could do this technologically, exactly where the ball. They put a little chip in the ball. We know exactly where it goes.
Yeah.
And if there was a real, let's say, effect on all this, the NFL
would change it.
They would change and correct course. But as far as I know, I don't know of anyone shutting off their TVs on Sundays. I don't know of anybody on Thursday night saying I'm not loading the Amazon Prime. How about that, huh? There's just so what? That's if I'm at NFL headquarters, so what? If we want to get it right, I get it. But so what? It's more people talking about our game.
To make an allusion to Mark Cuban, the pig is now a hog, but the hog has not been slaughtered yet.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying.
The hog is getting hoggier.
Exactly. Well, this has been good, Scott. We'll wrap it up there.
Well, look at you. You're going right there. Do you know something I don't know? I wasn't prepared for close.
At Soshnick. I am Evan Williams on Twitter. At Novi_Williams. The show is produced by Aaron Greenewald. Thank you very much to Aaron. Sporticast digital media editor is Cora Veltman, and she would like you to know that you can follow the show at Sporticast,
it seems so empty
which is the hub of the Sportico Media Network.